Our NFL previews usually start in August, as everybody knows. That's when we do our predictions division by division. That is still happening. Don't you worry about that. But we got a little bit of extra time here. It's July. We're gonna have a little bit of a small part each week going into that. Little things to kind of preview, just small NFL previews. Today, this doesn't hold true to what our predictions are. These are NFL sleepers to watch. Our only rule for this one is they can't be a playoff team. So if they made the playoffs last year, they're clearly not a damn sleeper. Our goal here is to basically pick teams that maybe weren't so good last year and could be pretty good this year. Think Commanders of last year, Texans of the year before, Jaguars the year before that. Just doesn't have to be a worst to first, just a team that might ruffle some feathers. Maybe they're not supposed to make the playoffs and they do. So, Kelcey, we each are going to pick two of them. I'm starting to think I might have screwed up your list a little bit there.
You did. You got me. You got me. They can't be a playoff team part. I was literally putting a playoff team going from 7-1, but never mind.
You know what? I want to hear this one. So, you get three of them and you can include that one because I want to hear what this is.
All right. I'm going to start with that one then. Is that okay?
Yeah, start with that one.
All right. We're going to rip the Band-Aid off. It was the Broncos. I think the Broncos are the best set up to have a number 7 seed to a number 1 seed conversation. And yes, I'm saying that over the Chiefs. I'm not counting them right now. They need a receiver to give them multiple receivers to give them an opportunity to jump that. Not just a Lad McConkey. Okay. But I think the Broncos with Bo Nix going into year 2, we already talked. We talk about this all the time. The guy is an older head. He's came into the league old. But he's had a lot of experience, and he went through a lot of the growing pains in college. We talk about the Bo Nix experience. I have an Auburn flag that's sitting behind my head that, I experienced that firsthand, what that was like in that growing experience. The difference is he has a real coach. Sean Payton is a real coach and an offensive-minded coach, and he has the opportunity to coach Bo Nix, and then they brought in more players to continue to make this team better. Oh, and by the way, Nick Bonito, remember that comment I made a couple years back when he got drafted that he could be Micah Parsons-esque? Not Micah Parsons, but like Micah Parsons in his ability to rush the edge. Well, guess what? He looks really dang good. So come at me, trolls, now, but I stop. I'll stop there. But I think the Broncos, I think they have an opportunity to upset the balance of the AFC West. The Chiefs are getting old. It's going to happen soon. We can't just expect it to always be the Chiefs. And there's question marks on that roster for the Chiefs. Can they fill them? And can they not lose a step from Travis Kelcey? Can they not lose a step from some of these other offensive linemen that are getting older? They're not old, but they're getting older. And on the defensive side, can Chris Jones continue to be dominant? We'll see. But I think that's my surprise. Doesn't really count for this list, but just to make a case for it, I was ready for this one. And that was my oops. They don't qualify rule breaker because I have one every list.
You know what, though? That it still counts because we're going to take a look at the odds for them to do that. That require them to win the division. They are at plus 300 or plus 350, depending on which sportsbook you look at. So, not bad odds if you're feeling it. I'm not saying. I'm just saying it could be something to look at. The Broncos are an interesting one. I'm going to stick in the AFC West though, and I'm going to talk about a different team. I'm going to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders as a team that could be a bit of a sleeper as well. That division is surprisingly really, really good. It's not just the Chiefs running through everybody. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to win the division. I'm saying this could be a team that squeaks into that 7 seed. I'm not quite ready to say they will overtake the Chiefs or Denver or the Chargers, but in theory, one of them is going to take a step back next year. It's death taxes somebody taking a step back next year. 2 years ago at the NFC East, we talked about it too when they had 3 playoff teams. Every single year last year at the NFC North, there's multiple times not last year at the NFC North, but coming forward at the NFC North. Usually somebody's going to take a step back. The AFC North a few years ago is what I was thinking of. We'll talk about this because a future one we're going to have is teams that are not going to be sleepers, teams that are going to step back. So I won't spoil for that one, but I think the Raiders could be a team that slips into that 7 seed. Geno Smith is a massive upgrade at quarterback. Whether you like him or you love him, he's still better than Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, no matter what way you want to slice it. Pete Carroll is a massive upgrade at head coach. Maybe not massive. I don't want to insult Antonio Pierce like that. But experience-wise, we're going to give him a huge edge for no other reason than experience and results. Ashton Genty in the running back room, that's a huge upgrade. We haven't even seen him play an NFL down yet, and I feel comfortable saying that. Brock Bowers in year 2, you are going to have the best tight end in football, I'm pretty sure. If he already isn't, you're going to. They've upgraded the offensive line even more, so Jackson Powers-Johnson's going to play center, which is as opposed to what they're doing with them last year. Defensively, you got better. We'll see if there's rumors that Christian Wilkins might be out for the season again. That's going to hurt if that's the case. Yeah. You did upgrade on defense. I think they could just be a weird sleeper team that just wins by beating the piss out of you, basically. They almost like what the Steelers have done the last handful of years, where they just find a way to win games in the most annoying way possible. I think that could be the Raiders where Ashton Genty gets like 375 carries his rookie year. And it's just, think Herm Edwards, what he did to Larry Johnson with the Chiefs those couple years where he ran him into the ground. I can see them almost doing that with him, and then then Geno Smith, play action, Brock Bowers over the middle. Play action, then out of nowhere, Jack running up the sideline, or Jacoby Myers, who was surprisingly good last year. I believe he had the most catches by a receiver that didn't have a drop last year, if I'm not mistaken, or some ridiculous stat like that. Like, they just have a lot of very good pieces. They won't compete for a Super Bowl, I don't think. But I think they could sneak into that 7-6 seed. I know you're looking at plus 300 odds for them just to make the playoffs, plus 350. And if you really want it, I'm not saying they're this type of sleeper, but if you wanted to give them a shot at that division, you're looking at as high as plus 2,000 odds on certain sports books, from plus 1,200 to plus 2,000. So I'm just saying the Raiders could be an interesting bet moving forward to be a sleeper team.
Yeah, I also don't forget they got Jack Beck in the draft, who has not just one of the better draft stories we saw. Obviously, his brother tragically passing in the situation in New Orleans before the Super Bowl, but Tommy Malott,
Below
the
athletic Swiss Army knife.
former quarterback slash everything else for that Montana State team, and then yeah, that's just backup receivers for this team. You mentioned Jacoby Myers. I think that's an underrated piece of their team. I think he's his own good receiver. I think he should be a number 2 on most rosters, but as a number 1, I don't feel uncomfortable with him there.
Especially if
Almost
you
like,
count Brock Bowers as that actual one.
yeah, realistic. But also you have Michael Mayer on this team. Everybody forgets that was the best tight end before Brock Bowers came in. Like, he was that number 1 tight end. And then you had Brock Bowers come in, and it's like, all right, well, now I have my number 1 receiver, and then I have Michael Mayer, who's my number 1 tight end. So now you have those two plus Jacoby, who's technically probably going to be a 2. And look, Geno loves to hit up his tight ends. So I think this is absolutely an opportunity. And God forbid I get to watch Ashton Genty run over that AFC West. I cannot wait for that.
This is the most Pete Carroll team ever, too, because Max Crosby is a Pete Carroll player. Heart,
Yeah.
soul through and through already. Ashton Genty is a Pete Carroll running back, and Jack Beck, they probably got the 2 best tackle breaking skill position players. 2 of the 3. I want Omar and Hampton's in there, too.
Yeah.
But 2 of the 3 best just tackle breakers in this draft class with Jack Beck and Ashton Genty. Those are Pete Carroll. Those are Carroll killers, basically.
Yeah.
They got Pete Carroll guys. I like this Raiders too. I think they could be sneaky good compared to where they were last year. Last year they were trash. This year I think they will not be trash. I think they're going to make a push for a wild card spot.
Yeah. By the way, you mentioned their line. Thayer Munford is not supposedly going to start, if that tells you how good their line's gotten. So
It could be average, and that with Ashton Genty back there and Geno Smith, average is more than good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Compared to what it was last year.
No, I like that pick. For mine, I am going to stay in the AFC for my actual real first one, since we're not counting the Broncos. But my first real one is going to be the New England Patriots. Last year, 4-13, but I have a hard time believing this offense is going to stay a 4-13 offense. Drake May, while not great, he was showing positive signs. Now you add in a Will Campbell and then a veteran in Morgan Moses, which I think is an underrated move they made. You add in Carlton Davis defensively, Robert Spillane. You add in Travion Henderson as a rookie for that offense. Kyle Williams, who's also a interesting potential at receiver. You have all the other receivers, not including the one that was filmed on a boat doing things, who's recovering for an ACL tear. But this team has very interesting aspects. Oh, and by the way, did I forget the one guy who might make this whole thing work? Yeah, the guy who I judge all the time for his coaching abilities, it's Mike Vrabel. But if there's a Patriot coach that deserves to coach the Patriots and make them a winning coach, it's going to be Mike Vrabel. I say that knowing full well I don't think Gerard Mayo should have gotten let go yet, but Mike Vrabel is an acceptable alternative for me to kind of make this Patriots team work. And I think he has enough offensive mind to make it work. And he has enough experience in the college level, coaching college kids, that this young team isn't going to scare him, which it can do to some head coaches if they've never had that real college experience. So, yeah, I'm very interested to see, and especially somebody like Drake May, come in and maybe make a bounce back here. The AFC East, it seems very open. Outside of the Bills, it seems very, very open. And that's what's very intriguing about the prospects of them getting even second in their division.
Absolutely. Like, Drake May had a very, very solid rookie campaign. I think it's a huge upgraded coach too. Whether Gerard Mayo got the short end of the stick or not, I think Mike Vrabel's a huge upgrade no matter what. Defensively, they spent a lot of money there. So hopefully they can stop with Mike Vrabel leading the way, and that the money they spent on defense, they could stop some people. I'm a big Kyle Williams guy. I think that's a high ceiling. I think he'll be receiver 1 by the end of the year for that team. I think Stephon Diggs will still be fine. It's not an insult to him. I just think older coming off the ACL, Kyle Williams will ascend. Him and Drake May will build a natural rapport. So I think if that those 2 can click, that'll be great for sure. I like that pick a lot. I think it's been picking up a little bit of steam too. I think a lot more people are looking at like Drake May, not too bad at all. I see why he's picked number 3. Maybe we overthought a little bit with his pre-draft stock just a little bit. Instead, maybe we shouldn't have tried to get too cute with it. But I digress there. For me, speaking of a young quarterback, that's where we're gonna go with the next one for me. I'm gonna go with the Tennessee Titans as a surprising
Okay.
sleeper team. For one, I think Cam Ward's really good, and I think sometimes you just see a rookie quarterback comes in, just shakes up a franchise, and they're able to turn it around, late season push, something like that. We saw it with CJ Stroud. Jay Daniels last year, obviously absolutely electric. Bo Nix last year, absolutely electric, shaking things up. But most importantly, that division is absolutely terrible. My goodness, is that a bad division? The Colts are awful. The Jaguars, if unless Travis Hunter can replicate everything he did in college, they're going to be probably mediocre. Unless Travis Hunter can be a stud on both sides of the ball, and Trevor Lawrence can, well, just play like Trevor Lawrence has played through 90% of his life until he got to the NFL, basically. And Houston, I don't know what to think of them. That pass rush is awesome. That secondary is awesome. But then they lose 30-2 to Baltimore. Like
Mhm.
they kind of they're a very weird team. CJ Stroud is awesome, but then there are moments where he just kind of seems stuck. That offensive line is terrible, but at the same time, they don't get a lot of help elsewhere. I don't know that receiving core is awesome, but I'm still the Texans left a bad taste in your mouth if you watched a lot of them last year. You feel like if you put them in any other division, they're not winning a division comfortably. So this division stinks. I can see the Titans reasonably beating up on the rest of their mediocre division enough to somehow get into that contention or even possibly win the division like 8-9 or something ridiculous. So we're gonna go Tennessee because they've made some good moves. I like Calvin Ridley now with an actual quarterback. Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears with an actual quarterback. Tyler Lockett coming into the mix. Eric Ayomanor, remember from Stanford. We remember a couple years ago that Colorado
Yeah.
game where he scored 4 touchdowns.
Almanor.
Yeah, exactly. Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham, Lloyd Cushenberry, Dan Moore, they've made some moves on the offensive line. Defensively, they still have some guys with Jeffrey Simmons, Tavondre Sweat, L'Jarius Sneed, Amani Hooker. They got some players. So Roger McCreary, your guy. So there's a chance for them to win a really trash division or at
Yeah.
least be very competitive in it. So we're going to go Tennessee as a sleeper with, and just to make the playoffs, they have plus 425 or plus 415 odds, which some of the best you'll find it. And then to win the South, they're at plus 800 or from plus 650 to plus 800. With how bad that division is, you're willing to take a gamble. That division's terrible.
Oh, I like it. I'm intrigued by the Titans because of Cam Ward. We know what he can do if his receivers get to the ball. We know what that defense can do because it's not a bad defense. It's a very average or slightly above average defense, but sometimes that's all you need, especially if your division doesn't have the greatest offenses. And right now, we don't know what we're going to get out of Trevor Lawrence. You expect the Texans to show up a little more, especially now that they made moves in the backfield to shore them up. But the Colts, there's lots of questions there.
They're terrible. Like they're
Yeah,
probably going to finish
it's,
fourth.
they might be one of the teams we talk about going into next year as a potential up and comer going into next season. But that's got to get through this season first, if that tells you anything. So yeah, Titans are interesting. Cam Ward is very interesting. This team in general is going to be intriguing. I don't know. I don't want to like. That sounds like I'm just negating the Titans, but realistically, I'm just intrigued just across the board by the Titans team.
There's a
Um,
reason they're like the fifth lowest odds to make the playoffs. Like they're a
that,
definition of a sleeper. No one's picking them.
yeah,
That's for sure.
I think I might be more surprising with my pick though. That goes lower on this list.
Yes.
I'm not sure where the sports book that you're looking at has them, but I do believe they are number 3 or maybe number 2 on this list. And this might shock some folks considering who my former favorite team was. But I'm going with the New York Football Giants.
For the record, they're the lowest on the sports book. They are the lowest from what I'm looking at between plus 750 and plus 800 for just making the playoffs.
That's fair. But I think between the quarterback room of Russell Wilson, Jameis, and Jackson Dart, one of those 3 is going to work. One of those 3 is going to be able to hit Malik Neighbors and hit
That's all you
Jalen
gotta do.
Hyatt and hit Wandell Robinson, who, by the way, led the league in hitch route yards last season. 300 plus yards on hitch routes. And by the way, they were only on third, not all of them, but they were on a majority of third downs where he was tackled short because they were third and long. Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterboot. Also, Devin Singletary is still there. He's not just walking away. Darius Slayton still exists, by the way, guys, just in case anybody's forgotten. 1,000-yard receiver. Just so happens to still be there. Theo Johnson, we know what he can do. This team is very intriguing. This offensive line is getting older now. Could be more intimidating. The defense, there's a lot of pieces there. Dexter Lawrence being one of them. Brian Burns, Bobby Okereke. Okereke. I know he goes. Yeah, I mess it up every year. Abdul Carter.
Darth Vader himself.
Yeah, Javon Holland, as I mentioned before. Deontay Banks, who can hit or miss. Kayvon Thibodeau is listed as a backup right now. That tells
you
you
NASCAR package.
Yeah. So this team could be one of the more worst to first moments, and we see it in the NFC East every single year. A team that finishes bottom 2 is a top team the next year, and I don't think it's going to be Dallas. So my next option is New York. So here we are, guys. Buckle up, Giants fans. If Nate is watching, so
No,
like we're getting during the draft here before you. Oh, am I back now?
You're back. You supporting the Giants completely froze you on that one. Like even Universe was like, hold on, guy, are you sure? Do you want to take this one back?
Yeah, the internet gods, NFL gods don't love it. But no, seriously. I mean, just this is something for Giants fans you should be excited for. If Nate's watching, maybe he's super pumped, but don't get like Shedeur Sanders pumped. Just get pumped. Because I do think this is an opportunity for the Giants to excel, because one of the two teams ahead of them, top 1 or 2, is gonna stumble. That's just the nature of the East, and it's frustrating for teams like the Eagles and the Commanders, who seem to be on the up and coming, that you're gonna have that moment. It's just gonna suck, and you're gonna have to deal with it for a year. But hey, there's a possibility 3 teams get in the playoffs from the East. That's always a possibility. Doubt it's gonna be this year, but it's possible. So maybe the Giants do it, maybe they don't, maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like this seems like the opportunity. And by the way, Evan Neal may or may not start this year. We never know.
If Andrew Thomas could just play the majority of the games, that helps your offensive line a ton as well. Plus, you got Anakin Skywalker as your rookie quarterback and Darth Vader as your rookie pass rusher. Like that's got to mean something. But
I just don't know. I don't know if Jackson Dart's going to see the field, because you have Russell. Like, do you let Jackson Dart at least see the field there?
We're gonna see how Russell plays. If Russell plays well, then no. If Jameis Winston comes in and plays well, like it depends how. I think all 3 of them are gonna see the field this year. I'll put it that way. I think even if they do well, I think it's gonna be because all 3 of them see the field. And if they do bad, it's gonna be because all 3 of them see the field. Like we will see, the horses will ride into battle. It will be dangerous and very, very Mr. Limited sometimes. But I do think Anakin Skywalker will see the field one way or the other too.
And by the way, Marcus Membo is also a backup right now as a rookie, and he has a potential to knock on the door and become a starter.
Absolutely. They got a very interesting squad. I think it could be on the up and up. And I think your former Dallas Cowboys could be something in that one as well, as they're sitting at plus 600 to win the division and at plus 130 to make the playoffs. They're another one. The NFC East is very interesting. Just like as you mentioned, the pure chaotic nature it has had historically. It's been over 20 years since someone's won it back to back. However, the Eagles have the best team on paper and are the defending Super Bowl champs. So it feels like as good a time as any to break that. But
yeah, they should win it, and the Commanders should come in second in the East. But there have been many years that one of these two teams beats the other up twice, and so the other team now has 2 losses, and they have an unfortunate loss to the third team who's up and coming, and that third team is the team that finishes second. And this is what you end up with, and you end up with like an Eagle sitting on the outside looking in, or a Commanders sitting on the outside looking in, and you're just like, why?
Exactly. It's going to be fun. I look forward to this. We're going to have a few more of these leading up to our NFL prediction season. We'll go over some sleepers, some teams we expect to drop off, some potential award sneaky candidates, some teams that we think we're going to do a little bit of these previews leading into it. Footballs can be a year-round thing. It is the summer of soccer, so it will also be the season of football, so we'll treat it. We're going to mix them both in there.
It's football year.
It is. It's 2020 football. That's what we're going to call it right now. But let us know down below who you think could be an NFL sleeper team to watch out for as we head into the next season.